And joining me to discuss this latest development is a global affairs analyst, Professor Ademola Abbas. Good to have you join us, Professor Abbas.
My pleasure.
I mean, this is historical, being President Trump being the first United States president to be impeached twice by the U.S. House of Representatives. And not just that, compared to the first impeachment, this was largely bipartisan. 10 Republicans supported the move to impeach the president. What do you make of this?
Well, thank you very much. I think you've hit it on the head. It's the first time you've ever had a U.S. president being impeached twice, especially, in the last week, obviously. But I think the fact that you had this time around not just one or two, 10 Republican representatives joining their den shows one thing clearly, that you still have a lot of people of good consciences on both sides of the U.S. parties, whether you are Republican or you are. And also it speaks to the gravity. Because when you listen to the debate yesterday in the House of Representatives, you'll be shocked by how many Republicans still try to pass over what happened and, sort of saying, well, when presidents have done this, but just let's caution him, some even refer to the fact that, oh, well, in the past there was a riot in the past and so on and so forth. So this speaks to the gravity with which the system in the U.S. treated what Trump did on 6th of January.
But impeachment charges are largely political. They're not criminal. So where does he go from here? Because some people are saying, look, they don't want him to be able to run for office. But this is just a political move. Well,
yes and no. Yes, it's political to the extent that it has been done by politicians. But it's also legal. Because when you look at the article of impeachment, which talks about, insurrection is illegal. It's a crime. It's defined by law what it is. Just like if you are charged Trump with sedition, these are legal terms. These are crimes. So it's not just political, but it is the vindication of a legal, of a crime within a political context. So let's get that one clear. Then number two is, where do we go from here? Look, impeachment without conviction means nothing, literally. I mean, we saw it in December 2019 when he was impeached, but he wasn't convicted by the Senate, because, don't forget, the Senate is still being controlled largely by the Republicans. But that is going to change from 20th of January. Now, the question is, what happens 20th of January going forward? Already the Dems, Nancy Pelosi had already written Mitch McConnell, the Senate leader, to say, look, we want a quick trial. But he said, no, he pushed back. I don't agree with Trump for what he has done, no, but I don't want any quick trial. Trial can only take place after the Senate will have reconvened, and they will only reconvene on the 19th of January, which is literally a day before inauguration of Biden-Harris presidency. But also you have to look at this. What is the advantage for the Dems waiting for their own majority Senate to come in on January 20th? Number one is the fact that the Dems will be able to set the rules of trial, which used to be set until now by the Republicans, and we know how that one is going to go. Then number two is the fact that more evidences are beginning to emerge, actually, about whether there was internal collusion.
I was seeing that three lawmakers were allegedly involved in this.
Reps were allegedly involved in it. Beyond that, whether in the time, that was before the attack, in the days before the attack, whether members or staff working in the Capitol actually, gave reconnaissance assistance to those who were coming to attack a few days later. So what I'm trying to say is that, giving it more time, will allow the batting to change from the Republicans to the Dem in terms of Senate majority. Then number two, they'll be able to gather more evidence. And again, there's no time bar for the communication of the impeachment from the House to the Senate. Remember in December 2019, it took almost 30 days before Pelosi communicated that. So there is a lot to play for. But what is more important here is that it's going to be in the Dems' Democratic best interest to make sure Trump does not go forward beyond this particular time. And that is because, don't forget, 73 million people voted for Trump.
Him.
He still has a lot of control on them. Now, you have to ask yourself a question. People like Ted Cruz, people like, Josh Hawley and co., what is their fate? People like Mitch McConnell, he has already fallen out with Donald Trump. The same thing with Mike Pence. What is that? Many of these people, including Lindsey Graham, they all have ambitions, one way or the other, for 2024. So there is no way they can run the ambition when Trump is still in the direct dominance of the grand old party. So it's in their business to expel Trump from that party one way or the other.
So let's look at his reaction. Just almost immediately after the impeachment, he released a statement condemning the attack or the siege on the Capitol. And he said, you know, he made statement like you are not our people, we condemn violence. Do you think that it is a little too late for that kind of statement? And was it also a political statement?
Well, you know, I think you've got a point. Number one is a little too late. And you ask yourself a question, why did Trump make that statement? It's clear to my mind. He made it as a way of staving off the impeachment, the trial that might come eventually. He didn't refer to the impeachment. He knew that has already been done. The question is, what next? What next is two things could happen. You know, he could be expelled by his own party, whatever they want to use. People like Ted Cruz and might still be expelled. Don't forget the 14th Amendment of the U.S. Constitution. They might be expelled if they find that to be the case. But for Trump, he's going to face a certain trial, and that is because Joe Biden also has already called for that kind of trial. So that statement to me was not Trump. That was Trump acting under desperation. Now, he knows now clearly that, you know what, everything has come together. He's facing a certain expulsion, most likely, and conviction from by the Senate. He doesn't want that. And also, I think it was a very smart move. So he could say during the trial that, look, I didn't support it. After all, I came out to speak against it. But the question is, when did they come out to speak against it? That was about a week after, and that was after the impeachment had already taken place. So it was a political gimmick, but that was a quintessential Trump speaking. I am very sure that if he has access today to Instagram, he will have nullified that same statement within 2 minutes of making it. Absolutely.
Global Affairs analyst, Professor Ademola Abbas, thanks for talking to TVC.
My pleasure.